Hey guys, here is a August 5th garden tour. It's been a minute since I've done one and things have exploded. Still have a couple of blueberries that the birds haven't gotten yet. New flowers on my strawberries. Second flush is coming in. These sunflowers have absolutely amazed me. They are gorgeous. They are absolutely stunning. Look at how beautiful they are. They are called Rouge Royale. And this guy here, I can't even get him all in one frame. He is about 10 feet tall now, and you can see his head is starting to come out. And I have all these little offshoots that I'm not sure are going to put on flowers, but it looks as though they might. Just step way back. The hummingbird feeder is 8 feet tall, so if that tells you how tall it is, amazing. These are rosemary and thyme. Shortly, I'm going to have to come through and harvest all of this thyme because it's just exploded. These are the sage plants, my chives, lavender. Everything has tripled or quadrupled or quintupled in size since the last tour. Sweet marjoram, going absolutely crazy. Chives, going crazy. More thyme. This guy was struggling a little bit in some of the last videos, and it's starting to perk back up again. This is lemon thyme. She's starting to perk back up again as well. And since the last video, I have already harvested about this much off of this tarragon plant, and it's already back. There's some more lemon thyme, more chives, and the tarragon plant that was struggling is definitely coming back, starting to perk back up again. The oregano is starting to fill in. The rosemary plant that was struggling back in June is coming back, doing fantastic. Amazing what a little fish fertilizer will do. This is my dill. It's time to start coming out and getting the seed. I'm letting this guy go to seed so I can get some to plant for next year. Lavender is going again. It's already starting to bloom again. Another English thyme plant. They are just doing fantastic. Some of these are starting to flower, which I just come and pluck the flowers off to keep them from flowering. I don't want them to flower, I want to harvest them. And there's the other oregano, which has been taken over by the zinnias. So big. How beautiful those are. Fantastic. And there's yellow ones in the back. And then down here I have some winter savory, some chives, and this golden oregano. It looks like it's starting to come back. It got a little sun scald, but she's definitely perking back up again. There's a lot of new growth down in there. I'm going to let her go. The chamomile has been very prolific. It's gotten huge. I've been picking constantly. And the calendula flowers are exploding. I've been harvesting them and drying them because I use them to make soap. And it's nice to have fresh botanicals. And then more chives. And of course, the bane of my existence, crabgrass. There's the other lavender plant. It's doing something wonky with this one little stem. Not sure exactly what that is, but I might cut it off. Then we have more chives. All of these chives need to be trimmed so I can get them bushy. And this is the sage plant that was just a tiny itty bitty guy when I first started videoing. And they're going crazy. The sweet marjoram is starting to flower. I'm going to have to come out and harvest that as well. More thyme. Winter savory with a little bit of clover stuck in there. And then another rosemary plant. And more sweet marjoram. And then this is a golden sage plant, which has just gotten huge. And then I planted these 2 tomatoes, which I didn't think they were going to make it, but it appears as though I have little buds. So I'll come through and trim off all the yellow, and we'll see what happens. Compost tomatoes. They're budding up really nicely. And then I planted some more strawberries. I need to acidify the soil a little bit, but it looks like they're starting to put on flowers, which is great. These are my green beans that are all the way up to the top of the trellis. You can see a bunch of beans hanging up there. Very, very tall. Here's the mega strawberry plant. And it looks like I'm putting on some more berries. And these are the beets. I just thinned them this morning. That'll be in another video. A few carrots. My potatoes look like they are getting ready. I'm sure if I look down in here, oh, yep, they're starting to come up. I have to cover up these green ones. We don't want the green potatoes popping up. It looks like they're getting ready. Probably a couple more weeks. They're starting to die back. Then we have a cayenne pepper starting to get red. They are huge. This plant is huge. So many peppers down in there. And then we have jalapeno. Lots of peppers. Loaded with peppers. And it is huge as well. Try to zoom out so you can see. There's the cayenne. There's the jalapenos. And then another jalapeno plant that I harvested yesterday actually. But there's a bunch more babies all coming on. They're getting big. Lots of little blossoms. They're growing well. And my holy basil, it's time to harvest again. I harvest the flowers as well, and I dry everything. And we have, there's the green beans. They exploded while we were gone on vacation, and I harvested 4 pounds. Both sides are going crazy. They're so fun to pick when they're on the trellis. Step down in here. And then we have the bell peppers that we talked about in the last video that I was concerned they were having an issue. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And while the soil felt super wet on the top, I noticed it wasn't wet very deep. So that's what happened, is they just didn't have enough water. And now they're all perking back up. They're doing fantastic. Here's the other 2 plants. I have another, looks like this guy got a little bit of sun scald. It was very hot the last couple of days. We were in the upper 90s. Right now it doesn't seem like it's very sunny because we have smoke from the wildfires around us and it's blocking a lot of the sun. But look at all of these peppers. It's loaded with peppers. They're doing great. They bounced right back and I'm so happy. They're doing great. I was really thinking this is the first year that I wouldn't get any peppers because I thought I killed them. I thinned the beets and the carrots. And here's what's left of the beets. They all have a little more to grow. They're getting there. These are contender green beans, which this is my first year growing them, and I am very impressed. I think I will grow these contenders from now on. They are long, slender beans. I just harvested these, but they're very prolific, and I'm really enjoying being able to pick them. I just moved them up, and look, there's beans. I love picking them. These are jade beans, and they grow in little clusters. I've been enjoying these ones as well. I planted these bush beans underneath the tomatoes, hoping I would have enough room. And so far they're doing okay, but the tomatoes are definitely getting a little unruly. It's time to come in and trim them again. They're exploding out everywhere. There's probably 30 pounds of tomatoes on just one plant right now. These are huge. They're called Lemon Boy. They're massive. Every one of them is just huge. And these are just Celebrity. Looks like I have some plant fasciation going on. Kind of a wonky one. It'll make good sauce. And here's the second planting of beans that I did later. They're taking off. My oregano I forgot to water, so they're looking a little sad. They'll perk back up again, and then I'm going to have to harvest. I'll have to harvest these a few more times throughout the season. The sweet potatoes are vining. They're doing fantastic. These potatoes got overwatered, and I believe the soil is just too compact. But here's that tomatillo plant. We talked about this in an earlier video. That one plant was putting on a ton of fruit, and the other plant was just basically flowers. And the fruit is so heavy that it has folded a bunch of branches, but it looks like they're still growing, so they are getting nutrients. And I won't be picking them until they start showing signs of dying. Some of the yellow ones I do pick. But the second plant, if you remember, there were only flowers and there was no fruit. Well, now it's exploding with fruit. There's tons of fruit on it. And it literally is, it grew about 2 feet while we were on vacation for 4 days. And then there's the tomatoes. I'm going to have to come through and trim those. I trimmed some of these ones on this side, and they're doing better. Got some more bush beans down here, and the cilantro's coming in. And then behind me, here's those cucumbers that we planted together. It's actually really hard to see in here because they have gotten so big. There's flowers all over, and I have a bunch of tiny baby cucumbers coming. And this tomato plant is taking over. So I'm going to have to come in and trim that. The dill is starting to put on new flowers. So I'll get some more dill flowers off of that, but I did harvest the fronds so I could get some dill weed. And these cages, I have to say, I'm very impressed with. They're very sturdy, and they were just an Amazon find. I've always used the circle ones, and they're actually doing really well. You can make them into a triangle, a square, a wall. They're pretty fantastic. I like them. I'll try to put a link to these in the video because I think they fold flat, so I think they're going to be more economical for me. Most likely I'm going to be getting some more. But the tomatoes that we grew from the compost bin are exploding. Absolutely huge. And I can't even get back to take a video of these. So the potato that we planted together, she's going strong down there. And the compost tomato that grew by itself is very unruly, very huge. And then there's more potatoes that popped up. And this is the rest of that dill that I've been harvesting off of. I still have a ton more to harvest. And then that zinnia, those purple zinnias are going crazy. And look at all the bees. They're just loving it over here. There's another guy down there. And then in here is another potato doing very well. Gone to flower. There's potato flowers right there. And there's a strawberry down in here. Let's see if I can show you. There's a little strawberry right there. And that Swiss chard that popped up is doing fantastic. It's time to come harvest it and throw some in my freezer. Or maybe saute it and have it fresh. Another surprise we got was another dill plant popped up. And it surpassed all the tomatoes that we planted. And then another potato popped up as well. Ladybug. But this potato is going to flower. It looks like another one actually popped up that I didn't see. So I have several potato plants in here now. Free compost food, I'm not going to complain. And these are the tomatoes that we planted together. Looks like Abe Lincoln is what these ones are. But look how huge they are. There's tons of fruit on this already. They have just exploded. These are the Oxheart tomatoes. They look like little pumpkins. There's a handful on there. There's not too many. It looks like I could only see a handful, but there's lots of flowers. And I believe these are a determinate variety, so I don't have to trim them as much. Stand back so you can see the difference from the last time we planted them. And also how massive this tomatillo has gotten. It's gone crazy. And there's more chives that are ready to harvest. I like to let them get into big clumps like this so I can harvest them all together. I like to get a good harvest, so I just trim them down until they become big and thick, and then I harvest them all together. And there's the plum tree. The grapes are starting to die back. Another plum tree. There's that Swiss chard. It's just pretty, very pretty color. And it looks like I have more dill coming. New surprises every time I see the garden. But this is going to have to be trimmed. He's definitely outgrown his cage, and it's time to trim him. He's all the way over there. You can see him all the way over here, and all the way over there, and right here. Like he's definitely gotten too big for his cage. So we're going to cut him back. It is an indeterminate. It is a Juliet. Now that I see the tomatoes growing down in there, I can see that it's a Juliet style tomato. And then all the mint, it's doing well. And the green stalks are berrying. We've got some berries. I think all of them have berries on them now, or flowers at least. Yep, got some berries. And there's tons of berries on these guys. Look at that. This is the second flush, and they are doing great. I couldn't ask for a better strawberry season this year. They're just fantastic. The apple trees are doing great. Another one right here. They're getting pretty big. Well, and that concludes the garden tour this time around. I'll probably do another one here in a few weeks. I forgot to show you something. Okay. These are the Riesentraub tomatoes, and I wanted to show you how they grow in a little cluster. They look like, get this camera down in here, they look like little grapes, clusters of grapes. They're the coolest things. You can see how the flowers grow in little clusters. They're so fun. All right, see you next video.